Hare Krishna. Welcome all to Shubha Mangalarti and step a session with Bhagavad Gita. So today we will discuss from first canto, chapter 13, verse number 3. Share this. Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 13, verse number 30. पतिं परायन्तं सुबालस्य पुत्री पतिव्रता चनुगतं सदवी हिमालयं नायास्तदण्ड परहर्षं मानवासीनाम् एव सत् सम्प्रहारः. Word to word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Word to word meaning, Patim, her husband, Parayantam, while leaving home, Subalasya of King Subala, Putri, the daughter, Pativrata, devoted to her husband. Ch also Anujagam followed. Sadhavi chased Himalayam towards the Himalaya mountains. Nayasta Danda, one who has accepted the rod of the renounced order. Paraharsam, object of delight. Manasivam, of the great fighters. Eva, like Sat, legitimate. Sampraharaha, good lashing. Translation: the gentle and chaste Gandhari, who was the daughter of King Subala of Kandara or Gandhara, followed her husband, seeing that he was going to the Himalaya mountains, which are delight of those who have accepted the staff of renounced order, like fighters who have accepted a good lashing from the enemy. Purport: Subalina or Gandhari, daughter of King Subala and wife of King Dhritarashtra, was an ideal wife devoted to her husband. The Vedic civilization especially prepares chaste and devoted wives, of whom Gandhari is one amongst many mentioned in history. Lakshmi Sita Devi was also a daughter of a great king, but she followed her husband Lord Ramachandra into the forest. Similarly, a woman Gandhari could have remained at home or at her father's house, but a chaste and a gentle lady, she followed her husband without consideration. Instructions for the renounced order of life were imparted to Dhritarashtra by Vidura, and Gandhari was by the side of her husband, but he did not ask her to follow him because he was at that time fully determined, like a great warrior who faces all kinds of dangers in the battlefield. He was no longer attracted to so-called wife or relatives, and he decided to start alone. But as chaste lady, Gandhari decided to follow her husband till the last moment. Maharaja Dhritarashtra accepted the order of Vanaprastha, and at this stage of life, the wife is allowed to remain as a voluntary servitor. But in sannyasa stage, no wife can stay with her former husband. A sannyasi is considered to be a dead man civilly. and therefore the wife becomes a civil widow without the connection of with her former husband. Maharaj Dhritarashtra did not deny his faithful wife, and she followed her husband at her own risk. The sannyasis accept a rod as the sign of the renounced order of life. The two types of sannyasi, those who follow the Mayavada philosophy headed by Sripad Shankaracharya, accepted one rod, Ekadanda, but those who follow the Vaishnavite philosophy accept three combined rods, three Danda. The Mayavadi philosophies are Ekadandi sannyasi, whereas the Vaishnava sannyasis are known as Tridandi sannyasi, and mostly distinctly Tridandi sannyasis, Tridandi Goswamis, in order to be distinguished from the Mayavadi philosophers. The Ekadandi sannyasis are mostly found of the Himalayas, but Vaishnava sannyasis are found of Vrindavan and Puri. The Vaishnava sannyasis are Narothamas, whereas the Mayavadi sannyasis are Dhiras. Maharaj Dhritarashtra was advised to follow the Dhiras because at that stage it was difficult for him to become a Narottama. So before I begin, I would like to offer my prayers. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। कृष्ण 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 Hare Krishna. So I will try and read the translation again. In the translation, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned the gentle and chaste Gandhari, who was the daughter of King Subala of Gandhara, followed her husband, seeing that he was going to Himalaya mountains, which are delight of those who have accepted the staff of renounced order, like fighters who have accepted a good lashing from the enemy. So we are reading the 13th chapter where Dhritarashtra is quitting his home. So how Vidura has come back from his Tirtha Yatra, and he is advised Dhritarashtra, and now Dhritarashtra is convinced from the explanation, from the preaching that Vidura has done, and now Dhritarashtra is ready to quit his home. So here we can see that Dhritarashtra is quitting his home because he was advised by Vidura. So his brother Vidura, he explained him as to how he is living in the shelter of the Pandavas, and so now he explained as to how he is becoming old, and at least now he should go on the dharmic path, and we've seen all that Vidura has told to Dhritarashtra. So with this, Dhritarashtra is ready to quit his home, but what we can see here is that Gandhari, she's also going with her husband Dhritarashtra. So Prabhupada writes in the purport telling that it is not necessary for Gandhari to go with her husband. she can, stay with her father, or she can stay back in the palace. It was only Vidura had only instructed Dhritarashtra to leave the house, not to Gandhari. But Gandhari, she's showing the qualities of an ideal wife. She's being a chaste woman, and she's following her husband wherever her husband is going. So I was hearing a class from Sundar Nityananda Prabhu on the same verse, and Prabhu was telling that how women should always, go wherever the husband goes. So Prabhu was mentioning in the class as to how at the time of marriage there are several mantras being chanted, but unfortunately we do not know what is the meaning of those mantras. So Prabhu was mentioning there is one particular mantra that is being chanted during at the time of marriage, and it tells that the wife will follow the husband not only when it is sukha, not only during the husband's good times, but also during his dukkha. So the wife will stay back with the husband. So we can see that the same thing is being followed by Gandhari. Gandhari is, depicting it by her own example. She was with Dhritarashtra not only when he was in the palace, but now since her husband has decided to quit the home and go to the forest. Um, Gandhari is being a chaste woman, and she's following her husband. So Prabhupada also gives example of Lakshmi Devi and Sita Devi, how they are always with their husband. We all know about how chaste Sita Mata was. So I will try and explain the words through an acronym, and the acronym is chaste. So here we are seeing how Gandhari was a chaste woman. So we'll try and understand the entire words through this acronym CHASTE. So first, the first one is chaste. The first one C in the entire acronym chaste is C, and C stands for committed to serve. So, the wife must be committed to serve the husband. So, this example, for this, the best example is Mother Sita. So, we know how Sita Mata, when she got married to Ram, she in her father's place also, Janaka Maharaj, she was brought up very luxuriously. She was given all the comforts. She was a queen. She was a princess there basically, and then she gets married to Lord Ram. And even in Ayodhya, there were such comforts. But when Kaikeyi asked Ram, Kaikeyi requested her husband Dasharath Maharaj to send Ram to the exile Vanvas. That time, Mother Sita voluntarily took up this austerity of going with her husband. So I was hearing a class, and in that, Lord Ram asks Mother Sita, "So why do you want to come with me? You stay back in the palace, and you lead a comfortable life." Lord Ram tells that he is going for Vanavas, and there could be many dangers. So Mother Sita tells that she is his wife, and she wants to follow wherever her husband goes. And she also tells that I will follow you, Lord Ramachandra, so that I can clean the path on which you walk, so that your feet is not being hurt, or there is no obstacle for you during the Vanavas. So that is how committed Sita Mata was to serve Lord Ram. So she doesn't have to go. So the exile was given only to Sri Ramachandra. But Lakshmana also took up this austerity, right? So we all can see how a wife may go because she's connected with the husband. But even Lakshmana, he was so committed in serving Sri Ram that even he left his wife, and he went to serve Lord Ramachandra because he was committed in the service. So that is how wives should be. They should be committed to serve their husbands. And we can see the same thing in case of Gandhari. So Gandhari, when when Bhishma Dev approached Gandhari's father, and he came to know that she used to get married to Dhritarashtra, and apparently he is blind. So what did Gandhari do? The minute she came to know he was blind, she took up this austerity of blindfolding herself. So that she, even before she could see Dhritarashtra, she had blindfolded herself. So she was such a chaste woman. So she, if her husband can't see, then she is, that is fine. But how can, somebody take up such an austerity that they blindfold themselves? So that is how committed Gandhari was. That is how chaste Gandhari was in serving her husband. So this is being committed in serving, and H is being honest. So for this, being honest, the senior Vaishnava from whom I was hearing a class, he was mentioning that how Rukmini Devi, she was so honest when she, she, we all know as to how Rukmini Devi, she had never seen Krishna. Just by hearing the glories and pastimes of Krishna, she got attracted to Krishna. And when she did this, Krishna was so mesmerized that, if we just look at the person, it is still, difficult to love that person. So we all can see as to how Krishna is manifested in form of Archa Vigraha. We all go to the temple, have darshan, but still we are unable to develop that love and, attraction towards Krishna. But Rukmini Devi, she was such an exalted woman. Just by hearing the glories and pastimes of Krishna, she developed that love and attraction towards Krishna. So Krishna asks Rukmini Devi as to why does she want to marry him? Because he has so many enemies and everything. So it would be difficult. So when Rukmini Devi was asked this question why she wants to marry Krishna, Rukmini Devi is so honest in her answer. She tells that she is very fearful of the three modes of material nature, and she's scared that where she will fall in trap to these three modes of material nature. So she's fearful not that, her husband will face some danger, that is Krishna will face some danger or anything of that sort. But she was fearful that wherein she will fall in the trap of these three modes of material nature, and her love and attraction for Krishna will decrease. So if she is in constant association with the Supreme Lord, then she can perform her devotional service happily. So that is how a wife should be. She should be honest. And the next one is being affectionate towards the master. So the wife has to be affectionate towards the master. So she should affectionately serve her husband, because when both the husband and the wife, they they cooperate with each other and serve, then they centralize Krishna, and then they serve, then that's how they can, attain love of Godhead. So affectionately serving the husband is very important. And the senior Vaishnava was mentioning how, when you mention, affectionately serving the master, that means that the wife is so affectionate towards the husband that she cannot tolerate any insult. If the husband is going through any insult, she cannot tolerate it. So and for this, from the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, we can see the example of Mother Sati. So we all know how Mother Sati, she was just such a chaste woman. So she once, we all know her husband is Lord Shiva, right? So we all know how once Daksha would have organized a very big yajna, a very big ceremony. And for that, he would have invited all the Devi Devatas, the demigods, everybody would have come there except Lord Shiva. right? So Mother Parvati, Mother Sati, she sees that everybody is traveling to her father's palace in order to attend that ceremony. And this desire comes inside her, that you know and she tells it to her husband that why not we also go to my father's ceremony. But Dakshya doesn't like Shiva because he's the way he looks, because he lives in smashan and he doesn't have a particular fixed place to live. So in spite of that, he Sati marries Shiva. So because of that, without knowing what is the position of Shiva, Dakshya disrespects Shiva. So in this, what happens? Mother Sati sees everybody, and she's now desirous to go to her father's ceremony, the function. And Shiva tells, look, Sati, we are not being invited for the ceremony, so it is not good to go. But Sati again and again she insists, and she goes there. And after that, she sees that her father is not even respecting Sati. And even in spite of that, Sati stays back at the same place. And after some time, Lord Shiva comes there. And when he comes there, and when Daksha enters the palace, so everybody gets up and greets Daksha. And Lord Shiva, he's been meditating. So he is not even aware that Daksha has entered, but Daksha takes it on a personal note. He gets offended and he starts chastising Shiva. So when he starts, talking ill about Shiva, Sati gets very angry and she tells that the place where my husband is not respected, I wouldn't want to stay at that place. So before the words of her father kill her, pierce her heart and kill her, Sati decides to voluntarily give up her her body into the fire. We know how she jumps into the fire and she gives up her body. So the we can see Sati how affectionate she was towards Lord Shiva. When she was insulted, she was tolerating it. But when the same thing, when her husband came and her father started insulting her husband, Sati couldn't take it anymore. So this the wife should be affectionate towards her husband. So this is A. And S is simply satisfied by serving the master. So here, Prabhupada for this, Prabhupada had in one of his class. Prabhupada was mentioning as to how a wife should simply serve the husband, and that is the best thing a wife can do. Simply follow the footsteps of the husband. So Prabhupada was mentioning a story in which there was a beggar, and his face was defaced, that he could have met with an accident. So Prabhupada was mentioning he was traveling, so he saw this beggar and his wife, and this beggar would have met with an accident and his face would have got defaced, it would have lost its form. But Prabhupada mentions that this couple, they were so clean. The husband is also so clean, and the wife is also so clean, and the wife is making sure the husband is clean. She's dressed the husband properly. So Prabhupada looks at this and he tells it in the class, telling that this is how a wife should be. Wife should simply serve her husband. The wife could have thought, oh, now my husband's face, it doesn't look nice, so how will I serve him? So that should not be the motive of the wife. She should serve her husband. Only by serving her husband, she should be satisfied. And how can she be satisfied is by serving her husband, and that husband should serve Krishna. So we can see this example of Jayadev and Padmavati. We all know how Jayadev had composed Gita Govindam. So this is one of the favorite songs of Lord Jagannath. It is sung every day for Jagannath. So this Gita Govindam was composed by Jayadev and Padmavati. So Padmavati, she was such a chaste woman. So she used to serve her husband so nicely that just by serving her husband every day and being loyal to him, so one day what happens? Her husband would have gone to take bath, and he would have kept the verse incomplete. So in order to complete that, Lord Jagannath himself comes in by disguising himself as Padmavati's husband, that is Jaidev, and Padmavati gets the association of the Supreme Lord. And even in Gita Govindam, in the last verse, Jaidev glorifies Padmavati. Why is that? Because he was doing so much of service to the Lord, but he couldn't see the Lord. But his wife, just by serving, just by being chaste and loyal to her husband, she got this, opportunity of seeing the Lord. So always the husband should make sure that they centralize Krishna. So when the wife serves the husband, it's centralizing Krishna and the Supreme Lord is satisfied. So we can see that in the example of Jayadev and Padmavati. And the next one is trusting the master. So this is a very important thing. So one has to trust trust her husband. So in case of Gandhari, we can see as to how uh, she trusted her husband, right? Even though she knew that her husband is blind, she blindfolded herself. She trusted her husband at each and every step. We can even see how Mandodari and Ravana was, she had he had kidnapped Sita, and in spite of all the cruelty he was doing, still Mandodari was being a chaste woman. She never left Ravana and Shivan. She was still with Ravana because of the trust that she had that, oh yeah, this person one or the other day he will change. And even the same thing in case of Gandhari. She, even though she was this a wife of Dhritarashtra, and she was the mother of Duryodhana, but she always had this trust that Dhritarashtra will change, and she always trusted him in spite of all that he was all the support he was giving to Duryodhana. She had this trust that this person will change. So Prabhupada was mentioning in one of his lectures that how the wife should always trust the husband. So it is said in the Shastras that whatever good karma the husband does, 50% of it goes to the wife, and whatever bad karma a wife does, that 50% goes to the husband. So it is so important for husband and wife to be devotees of the Supreme Lord, because they're influencing each other's action, and they're getting back each other's karma. So Prabhupada was mentioning the wife has to trust the husband, because the husband will, when devotees get married, that time I was hearing from a Mataji, and she was telling me how the husband, when the devotee couples get married, the husband promises in front of the Yagna Kunda that he takes up the responsibility of taking back the wife back home, back to Godhead. So this is the commitment the husband takes. And so the wife has to trust the husband. So if we don't trust our husband, then it is not possible for the wife to go back to the spiritual world. So the similar thing applies for a disciple with his guru. So if the disciple is not trusting the guru, trust is the basis for any relationship to exist. So if the disciple is not trusting, oh yeah, guru is going to take me back home, back to Godhead, then it will not be possible to perform devotional service at all. So in the similar manner, the wife should trust her husband. And the last one is eager to serve, that is eager to serve the master. So there is a story in Bhagavatam. When I was hearing to the lecture, Prabhu was mentioning as to how there is story of Sukanya. So we know this king Shrayati, and he had a daughter Sukanya. So what happens is that the Shrayati, he meets Shrayati and Sukanya goes to a play goes to the ashram of Chayavana Muni, and there she sees a worm is moving. So, and there are the eyes of the worm is glowing. So what she does, she's a very small girl, so she takes a stick and she pierces the eyes of these worms. And but they don't know that it's a Chayavana Muni. So there's some adharma that has happened in the place. And so what happens, all these the entire kingdom of Shayati king, they start facing constipation to such an extent that they can't even pass urine. So they keep thinking, oh, what adharma would have happened that the people in the kingdom are suffering so much. And upon examining, they come to know the act done by Sukanya. So what happens? Shayati goes to the Muni, and he begs for forgiveness. And in order to compensate for the act done by Sukanya, he offers Sukanya in marriage to the Muni. And this Muni, he is not some a young, handsome person. He would have become very old, very weak. He couldn't even walk by his own. So he always needed somebody for help. So he would be doing this. But Sukanya was always serving the husband. She never, thought, oh, this person is old, he doesn't look good. She never thought about it. The only thing for her was that, oh yeah, this person is my husband now, and I have to serve him. So she was serving him every day. And what happens is, once the Ashwinis, they visit the Muni, and they see how nicely Sukanya is serving her husband, and they get very, happy looking at this. And because of that, they give, the Muni requests the Ashwinis to give back his youth. So they take the Muni to a river, to a lake sort of a thing, to a water body, and they ask him to dip. He takes a dip and he comes up, and he would have got back his youth. And after this, Sukanya looks at the Muni. He has become all youthful, but now she's unable to recognize who is her husband. So she gets bewildered and she surrenders to Ashwini's, and they she then, looking at how chaste she was in serving her husband, they help her to identify her husband. And they then they lead a happy life. So what we can take back from this story is that how Sukanya was so chaste in serving her husband. She never thought, oh, this person has become old, so I will not serve. No, that is, she was always eager to serve the husband. So even Gandhari, she had done so many sacrifices, and she's depicting an idol woman. It could be Lakshmi Devi, it could be Sita Devi, all these women in the scriptures, they're trying to show all these qualities so that we can also imbibe, follow their footsteps. So these were some of the points I could take from today's verse. Thank you for your patient hearing, and please forgive me if I've committed any mistake. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, पतित पावन गुरु महाराज की जय. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you for the detailed explanation on this
Hare
verse.
Krishna, Mataji. Yeah, you go ahead.
Sure, Prabhu. Okay.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay. Mataji, Yeah, you were, I know a disciple should have the trust that he has to go back home, back to Godhead, and it is through the spiritual master that he goes home. You also mentioned the wife has to, the husband takes the responsibility of taking him back home, back to Godhead. Uh, I just wanted a little clarity. I thought uh, he has to bring her to spirituality, but that responsibility, is it his or again the spiritual master, is what I wanted to ask.
So, Prabhu, I was hearing it in a class. So, wherein they told the speaker was mentioning as to how the husband also takes the responsibility, because if the husband does not perform the spiritual activities right, then the karma goes back. So in that case they both are sharing the karma, so it will not be possible for them to go back to the spiritual world. That is what the speaker was mentioning. But I think Madhurapati Prabhu, you can help me with this.
Yeah, Rajinath Prabhu, this
Yes,
is
Prabhu.
Guru's complete, responsibility to take the disciples back to Godhead. But as far as the husband is concerned, the husband can create and facilitate lot of opportunities and facilities for the wife, and that is his responsibility. And only Guru can able to take the disciple back to Godhead, because Guru is empowered by the Supreme Lord.
Yes,
And,
Prabhu. This is the clarification I
and
wanted.
husband, yes, husband has the responsibility. Responsibility is not guaranteed actually to take the back to Godhead, as far as I have heard the lectures.
Yes.
However, husband plays always a vital role. He should be a devotee of the Lord, and wife, should be very chastity, as Radha Sugopika Mataji very nicely given the acronym, very nicely matching, very aptly Mataji explained with a lot of stories also, Sukanya and Chavyana Muni. So it's very interesting class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.